guys, today is September 17th. It's not the 17th, it's the 7th. I'm not drunk, I promise. If you could go ahead and mute your audio, unless you're Megan, that'd be great. I'm getting some feedback. I don't know where that's coming from. Perfect, thank you. And then let me mute this one. I'm so excited for tonight's team call. I'm going to introduce Megan in a second, but I have just a couple announcements. I wanted to welcome new coaches. I don't know. There's a couple of phone numbers I don't recognize. If you're brand new, just say in the comments you're new so we can welcome you. We had a lot of coaches join in August. And hold on one second. Let me text this person who doesn't know where to get the call in the team page. All info in the team page, right? Okay, here's the announcement. So I wanted to welcome all the new people that have joined in the last couple weeks. And then I wanted to go over the Success Club board because we had an awesome August. So I want to just read you all the people that hit Success Club. And we also had like 20 people that didn't hit Success Club, but that had points on the board. And I think that's a huge thing. I probably need to make another post just to show those people because those are lives that are being changed. It doesn't matter if you hit Success Club or not. You're moving your business forward. You had points on the board. And so I want to acknowledge that. But there were some people that completely knocked it out of the park. Miss Lisa Hendricks had 26 points. Crazy Lisa. Amy Wilson had 20. Mika had 18, Carla had 14, Amanda Rainsey had 14, Bailey Walton had 14, Sassy Tom had 11. He hit Success Club for the first time and hit over 10. Zuli had 10 and had never hit Success Club 10 before. Honey had 10. Bobby and Bailey Dickert had 8. And I had 8 too. Lynn Carter and Lynn Mueller had 6 points. Yamilet, will you unmute yourself and say your name one more time so I don't butcher it? Did I say it right?
Yes, Jamilet. It's fine. Good.
It's so beautiful. It's in my head, but I don't know if it's right. 6. Sarah Drummond and Ron Tall and Quinn Kyler and Shara Burnell all had 6 points too. So it was really a record-breaking month for our team in terms of numbers. So that's really, really exciting kind of coming off a summit. And I think that it's kind of team cup, but that shows me that is our new standard, that we should always have at least 20 people hitting Success Club every single month, and that there's no reason to not have higher numbers because it's all basics. So, and Megan's going to teach us some basics tonight. So make sure that we're getting some feedback. If you're new to the call, just go ahead and mute yourself. Make sure you set your September goals. It's already a week into September, so make sure, here's some things that I do to outline my goals. I've got my Success Club numbers, so I'm shooting for 20 points this month with 7 new coaches. This just gives you a guideline. Maybe your goal is 5 coaches, 3 coaches, whatever. So how many coaches you want to add to your downline, and then how many coaches in your downline are you going to help hit Success Club? Because this business is not just about what we're doing, it's about duplication and encouraging the people that we bring onto the team to start hitting their goals or at least get a point on the board. That's going to be your goal, is start encouraging your coaches to start getting Success Club points. Kind of look at your week leg volume if you want to look at that report right in the middle of the Coach Online office for your week leg volume and try to look at how you're going to double that week leg volume, and then look at your income goal for the month. So, okay, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Megan. So let me tell you some of the stats. She's only been a coach for, this was the part I left out. Megan, jump in. When did you sign up?
November of 2014. So I'm right, or December. So I'm right at like 20 months.
Okay, perfect. So like pretty new, less than 2 years in. Her team is called Top Knot Fitness, which I think is super cute. She's a mom of 4, and up until like a couple months ago, all of them were under the age of 4. Am I right? They were all little. So now you have 1 5-year-old, and the rest are. She's a lifetime 2-star coach. She's got her second business center open. So when you go 2-star, obviously you guys know you can open up a second business center, and she's working on making that diamond. Right now it's emerald. She has been in Success Club every month since she's been in the business, so 21 months. And 18 months of those have been in Success Club 10. She has a full-time job, plus she does this business, plus she has 4 kiddos. So I'm super excited to have her kind of talk you through some time management tips and some mindset, why she does this. And I don't think I have anything else to say. Megan, do you want to tell us your story and just take over?
Yeah, hi guys. Thanks so much for having me tonight. I love getting the chance to do this. Julia and I kind of connected, which is really cool, through my husband's cousin is also Julia's cousin
Oh
on the
yeah, so
other side of
we're
the
like
family.
kind of family. Like
Yeah. So
we're like
she connected with me on Facebook and was like, "Hey, I think that we are semi quasi related," and it was awesome. She's been like a huge help to me in the couple months that I've gotten to know her. So thank you guys for having me join you tonight. Just to give you a little bit of background on me, I was one of those people that turned my nose down or up, whatever you say, at Beachbody, at Shakeology for literally years. I'm a marathon runner. I was into CrossFit, and my training partner is my coach. Um, kept inviting me. I kept saying, I'm not into that. And then, as with everything in life, timing changes and circumstance change. And we relocated to a new city when I was about 7 months pregnant with my third. And as Julia said, I had 4 kids in less than 4.5 years. So when Charlie was born, my third, it just became really tough to get out of the house and go on a run, or get out of the house and drag 3 kids to the gym. And I didn't have a network here. I missed the camaraderie of my running club and of my friends from my CrossFit gym. And all of a sudden there was a void that needed to be filled. So, the next time she asked me to join, I got started with Shakeology and Pio. And within 2 weeks, I just noticed such a big difference in the way that I was feeling mentally. I was really struggling before. I wouldn't say that I was dealing with postpartum depression at all, but I was just overwhelmed and I was anxious and I was not in my normal routine. I'm not a person that is naturally or innately really organized. So I have to have structure in order to survive, because otherwise I'm just all over the place. So, having this challenge group and having this accountability group to check in with was huge for me. And I drank Shakeology every day for 10 days and called her and said, okay, I want to go ahead and sign up as a coach, but I'm just going to be a discount coach. I want nothing to do with this business. I don't ever want to host a party. I still didn't even really know what it was, because I said I didn't want to host a party. And I kind of thought my husband was going to be like, are you serious? But I talked to him about it a little bit, and he said, you're already getting so much traction, because I was already very comfortable on social media. I was already sharing what I was doing, like some of our really good challengers just do. And so my husband was like, why don't you just see what happens? And it's been an incredible 20 months. I never started down this path with goals of becoming an elite coach and getting my team to elite. And that's what I'm really pushing for this year. And as Julia said, I'm at 21 months consecutive of SC5. I've never missed it. And 18 or 19 months of SC10. So I'm hunting down those legend statuses as soon as I can get to them. I think that there's a couple things I want to cover with you guys tonight, and it's, as Julia said, time management is a big component of, I think, my success, but also for me, the mindset is a huge part of this, and that plays into time management and it plays into your overall success. And really those two things have been, I think, kind of the foundation of my business. And I'll start first probably with the mindset stuff, because for me, I think that is the basis of who I am as a coach, what culture we've developed on our team. This is a big part of it, and I think it's because from the very beginning, I was hooked to this environment. I'm going to be drinking Shakeology regardless if I'm a coach or not. I'm going to be doing my workouts regardless if I'm a coach or not. So if I get my Shakeology covered and if I get to make a couple extra dollars, that's literally how I still look at this to this day. Then what is stressful about that? I've never once said, forget this is too stressful, I'm out. I've never said, and I've hit SC5 in the last 24 hours of the month multiple times those first few months. And I never said, this is too much, I can't handle it, I'm just going to throw in the towel. And I think because I've always looked at this as a positive and as a plus. For me, my prior life, before I had kids, I was a high school English teacher. So I like reading and I like words and I like mentally pushing my brain and like really focusing on growth and development. And I had not done that in probably a decade. When my husband and I got married, we moved around a lot for his job. I went to work full-time for a market research firm. I'm a qualitative research director now, so I do focus groups and travel and bring people together to talk about stuff. So as that happened, I got away from reading anything personal development oriented. So when I started in this challenge group and my coach suggested, hey, why don't you check out this book called You Are a Badass? That to me was like the biggest revelation in the world. And I think that parlayed into my business aspect of things because, like I said, my mindset has always been positive. I think we control how we view things. And if you make a choice every single day that this business is going to fill you with light and with joy, and you're going to share this opportunity, whether that is joining a challenge group, whether that is getting somebody on board to coach, whatever that is, you're sharing with others, then I don't still see how it can be a negative thing. And I have a really hard time, honestly, coaching my coaches that struggle with positivity and they're kind of, my Debbie Downers, and I'll tell them that because I'm like, what? Why are you getting so upset about all of this? So I think that if you can early on make that choice to see this as a positive thing, that it's going to propel you, because there's nothing that I have done that's earth-shattering or that's different than anything you're hearing on the National Wake Up Call or that you're hearing from any other leader coach. When I was in high school, I was a 3-sport varsity athlete, and I always got most coachable, or like the coaches, not the best player, but the most dedicated, because I do what I'm told. So if I'm supposed to invite 3 people a day, sure, I'll do it. If I'm supposed to read 10 minutes of personal development, I'll do it. But my point in sharing that with you is it's not as if I have just gone balls to the wall and gone crazy, and that's why I've had this type of success. I have done the basic fundamentals, but kept that positive mindset, and I really think it makes a huge difference. I'd like to kind of spend a little bit of time kind of talking about like my non-negotiables when it comes to time management. So I do work full time. I have a little bit of a flexible schedule because I work from an office here at the house. So I have weeks that maybe I'm only working 20 or 30 hours, but the next week I could be traveling, Monday through Friday, and pull like a 40 to 60 hour week. It just really depends on what my schedule is. So I live and die by my list of must do's. If it doesn't happen, then it totally throws me off balance. And all of this stuff is manageable to do every single day. And then there's several things that, like I said, are my non-negotiables. I'll kind of go through those with you. The first is at the beginning of every single month, ideally even the last day of the month that's ending, I make goals for the upcoming month. And they're really specific. What I want my Success Club points to be and when I'm going to hit them. I always am trying to hit 5 by the 5th and 10 by the 10th. That gives me time to work with the team the rest of the month. I think it always keeps that momentum going. I've been at SC 10-12 the last 2 months, but February through June, I was at SC 25 to 36 each month. And again, none of this was crazy, massive amounts of inviting. It was just consistency. When I hit the 10th on the 3rd of the month, I could have easily been like, okay, I'll worry about it in 3.5 weeks. And I didn't. I just kept up that steady progress, and it really does make a big difference. So I set those goals at the end of each month. And that's something that doesn't seem important, and that I think people have a hard time doing because they'll think, oh, I know what I want. But there's something about writing it down, putting it somewhere where you can see it, putting it in your phone, putting it in your planner so that it's multiple places, that you're constantly being reminded of what you want to do this month. So that when there is a moment that you're like, you know what, I have 20 extra minutes right now, and I kind of just want to shut my eyes, or I kind of want to turn on the TV, you are reminded of what you're working for. So those goals are something that I do every single month. The next thing seems incredibly easy, but I swear you guys, it is an anchor, is listening to that National Wake Up Call every single week by Tuesday. I know that working schedules, sometimes Monday is not realistic to be on live. And lately they've been really kind of not doing great at getting the app loaded. Like the call from this week is still not on my podcast app. If you don't have the Beachbody Coaches podcast, download that. You can skip through the announcements at the beginning and the rank advancements, and then you're looking at maybe 25 minutes worth of a National Wake Up Call that you can knock out in the car while you're putting groceries away, while you're unloading the dishwasher. use those wasted moments that you could be doing something or you could be doing nothing to do something like listen to that national wake up call. I didn't listen to it for the first several months as a coach. And I don't think I even knew what it was. One thing Julia didn't say, my upline coach is a discount coach, really. She signed me up because we were friends, but I didn't have somebody giving me guidance on what to do. I just really quickly realized I like this environment. And back to that whole mindset thing, I completely drank the Kool-Aid that if somebody else could have tremendous success here, why couldn't I? And I've just gone all in. So my coach never said to me, listen to the national wake up call. So it took me a couple months to be like, what are they talking about? Why would I listen to that? I don't have time at 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm Eastern time to jump on that call. So I started listening to the playbacks, and then I found out about the podcast. And if you can do it at the, Monday or Tuesday is my strict rule. Because I think that it sets you up for success for the week. I think a lot of times it's easy to go into the weekend and kind of like back off your business a little bit, and then to get restarted can be a challenge. So listening to that call on Monday, Tuesday is always a really good push to kind of give you that frame of reference, remind you what you're working for. I find a lot of the speakers and Jeff, when Carl's on, to be really motivating. So that's something that I always do. My power hour might look a little bit different. I don't know if you guys, Julia, you can let me know if you guys are familiar with or use the 4 dailies.
No, tell us.
Okay, so this is really light writing. So my Beachbody corporate sponsor introduced this to me, and I love it. It is the same concept of your Hey Girls and your invites and your reach outs, but for me, it's quick, it's to the point, and it's super organized. You split your paper into 4 quadrants, okay? And the first one's add, the second is connect, the bottom left is invite, and the bottom right is follow up. So every night before I go to bed, I have everything but the ad filled out. I know exactly who. Add is who you're adding to your network. Connect is basically like your Hey Girl, which I really like that language better than Hey Girl because I don't run around saying Hey Girl. It just drives me crazy. The bottom left is invite, obviously who you're inviting, whether that's to a challenge group or to the coaching opportunity. And the bottom right is follow up. That's who you have to follow up with. So before I go to bed, I can put in here who my connects are. Who did I add to my network the day before? And I'm a firm believer in don't add to your network if you're not going to introduce yourself and let them know right away how you know them, why you reached out to them, because otherwise you come across as super spammy. So like right now, as my kids are going to preschool, I'm saying, hey, Julia, we met in carpool line the other day. Genevieve and Charlie are in the same class. I'm just trying to get to know some of the new moms at school. It never once crosses their mind that they're being added to my network. I am just creating relationships. So my connect list comes from who I've added with the day before, maybe in the last 48 hours. If you go in that way, you're never going to run out of connects. But you could also put connects here, people you just want to reconnect with and relationship build with. Your invites. Guys, for me, still to this day, that is the area that I struggle at the most. So I make sure those invite names are there, and a lot of times I make myself start with that square so that I can knock it out. Kind of like that whole eat that frog mentality. But that's that square. And then follow-ups. I found myself getting lost in follow-up, so this has been really helpful. I kind of prioritize somebody that wants to move forward with a challenge pack, somebody that wants to be a coach, somebody that just needs a link to purchase. Those are going to be the first people I follow up with. If it's just questions, then they're going to come after that. And I'm really good about following up with people. I try not to leave any messages unanswered up to a certain point of the evening once the kids go to bed. But that's how I prioritize that follow-up list so that when I sit down to do follow-ups, I can bang it out. And then obviously whoever you add, you just put into that top left. So that has helped my power hours significantly and I use a timer. One of my success partners and I get together once a week and we do a live power hour. It's typically just she and I that get on live, but then we post the link. So if you have not set a timer, like I do 5 minutes for add, you don't need that much time, but you can add more. I do 10 minutes for connect, I do 10 minutes for invite, I do 10 minutes for follow-up. So that's 35 minutes. Then that gives me the rest of the time to kind of delegate where I want to spend. For me, mostly I will spend 10 minutes in my team page. I'm at 45 minutes. I will spend 5 minutes going through and liking and commenting on people in my dream team, my dream team with coaches that I'm trying to show up more in their news feed and be more top of mind to them. And then that last 5 minutes, I might use in a number of different ways depending on the day. So that's something that if I'm on a plane, if it's 6 a.m., if it's nap time, is manageable for me. I'm not the type of person that can take 2 or 3 days off from this and then play catch up and send out 20 invites. I'm a talker, I'm wordy. If I had 20 people to respond to because I was in this awkward flow of days off, days on, it just would not work for me. So that's my power hour. That's a non-negotiable. And then let's see. PD. I'm the PD queen. I listen to PD for 10 minutes when I get up in the morning. I listen to PD while I'm in the shower. I listen to PD in the morning while I'm getting the kids ready for school. It's just on in our house now instead of having like the Today Show on or news on. It's just on. My daughter is 5. She was feeling really crabby the other day on the way home from kindergarten. She said, can we listen to that Shalene episode about what to do when you're in a bad mood? Because we had been listening to it, and she got out of the car and she said, I didn't hear what she said that you should do. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm crazy, but at least like these are things that, a 5-year-old can pay attention to and learn that when you're in a bad mood, you're in charge of your own emotions and there's things that you can do to work through it. So we listen to PD all the time. My husband is kind of on board with the PD finally. So before we go to bed at night, we try to not have screen time and read 10 pages at night. So, it could be overkill for me. I think it's just a really important part of this. And I'm always changing it up. Something might be business oriented that I'm listening to during the day. Something could be relationship or parenting oriented later in the day. I think that PD is multifaceted, and if you look at it only as I have to do personal development because I'm a Beachbody coach, then you might start to get a bad taste of it, taste for it in your mouth. But if you're constantly thinking about areas that you're struggling as a person and that you really want to push your boundaries and push your growth, that you can just get so much out of personal development. So that's a non-negotiable for me. And then my last one that I think is kind of key for me, that I make sure that I don't end the day without inviting one person to be in a challenge group or be in a glance group or learn about the coaching opportunity. So let's say on the craziest of days, I did not get my power hour done. And I probably do a power hour 6 of 7 days a week. I do not do it all 7 days. It just, with our crazy life and work, it doesn't happen all 7 days. But I make sure that every single day, I invite one person, because I feel like it's such a slippery slope if you stop inviting to make yourself pick it back up. And if you can end the day knowing that you have shared your story at least one time and invited one person to be with you on this journey, then you have that constant momentum and it doesn't feel as scary and it gets a little easier every single time. It's really important, I think, to have that as something that you can commit to. All of this goes back to being organized and being mindful with what you're doing with your time. This business can be just a complete time vampire if you let it. And if you think you're working and you're getting on Facebook and scrolling like a mad person, that's not anybody's fault but your own, right? You can delegate your time differently and make sure that when you're on Facebook, you're knocking things out. And I promise you, if you're working from a list, you're going to be knocking them out. If you were randomly like, who do I need to follow up with today? It just does not happen the same way. And it took me a little while to learn that. And I think that the sooner you can get yourself on whatever sort of system works for you, because we're not all the same, it's going to alleviate a lot of stress when it comes to managing your business. And the last thing that I think is really important in terms of time management is making your workouts a priority. It is so easy to say that you are so busy with coaching that you didn't have time to finish a program, or that you are going to only do, a hybrid of 21-day fix, or you're only going to get a workout in when you can. Make that something. For me, it happens between 5 and 6 a.m. every single day. with 4 kids the ages of mine, my youngest 2 still aren't sleeping through the night. My husband travels a lot for work. So last night I got about 2.5 hours of consecutive sleep, and then about 45 minutes later between 4:15 and 5 I slept. I could have easily turned off the alarm clock, and there's not days that I don't and say I need the rest, but 99.9% of the time I get up and do the workout. If you were doing personal development, if you were reading and pushing your mind, if you are working out every single day and sticking to these programs, guys, you're going to have things to talk about. When you're not doing these things, then sharing is difficult. Then sharing takes time. Then posting becomes really overwhelming, and it takes you forever to make posts because you don't know what to talk about because you're not doing any of those vital behaviors. So this is all very, interconnected. And people look at our life sometimes and say, I don't know how you do it all. I don't. It's not perfect and it's not pretty all of the time. But doing the things that I shared with you guys, making sure that I'm doing my workouts and being consistent in my posting has really impacted the experience that I've had as a Beachbody coach and taken me to places that I didn't think that I would get, this early on. Some people have greater success by 20 months, but I'm pretty happy with where I am. And we're going to end the year as an elite team, come hell or high water. And, I don't know, it's worked for me. So I hope that some of this has been helpful for you guys. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, let's dive into some, I think we're going to have to go back and listen because the time blocks were so cool. And I love that concept because a power hour is all essentially the same stuff, but it's how you think about it. And I think that's a really nice way to organize it.
Yeah.
And and I think you guys, this is the stuff, it's so funny because we come on these calls and we think we're going to hear a magic secret or pill. And it's this is all the stuff we know, but I also think you put a very good spin on them. I think you had little tidbits within each one that even for me, I wrote down so many notes, kind of just change the way you think about it. Cause it's we know, do your PD and do this thing. But I think that the thing that stuck out to me the most was when you're doing your PD, when you're doing your workouts, you have something to post about, you have something to share because you're learning something or you're growing. And then people they want to see that transition. Cause then I do that. I know if I'm disconnected from my workouts or my clean eating or my personal development and I myself feel like crap, what am I going to write about? And so we have to always put on this perfect thing and have these wise words. But I think you're so right. When you're stuck and you're I don't know what to post, then it becomes a chore.
Yeah.
So vital. So, that really stuck out to me. Will you tell us your top, maybe 3 or 4 personal development, either book or audio?
Yeah.
That were game changers for you?
Yeah. So to me, I know that You're a Badass is not for everybody. I've had some gals on my team that haven't loved it. I loved it. I've listened to it 4 times. And maybe that's because that's the first thing I read. And like I said, I was kind of in this dark place that I just really had lost myself, and it gave a lot of power to you can make big changes in your life. You write your own destiny. You're in charge of what happens. If something's broke, fix it. Stop being a victim type mentality. And I needed that. And I didn't even know that I needed that. I was listening and tears coming down my face at times. What am I doing? We moved here and, shortly after we moved, my father-in-law passed away very suddenly. It's the first time that we'd lost a parent, and it was really tough on my husband. And so I found myself being okay, if we could just get through these first couple months of living in a new house, we lived apart for several months. He was here and I was in the old house with the kids. So it was, if we can just make it till March when we all live in the same house. We closed and his dad died the next day. Then it was, okay, if we could just make it through the next 8 to 12 weeks while this is new and fresh, not that it would be better, but we'll start to get back to normal. Then it was, okay, we are having a baby in 4 weeks. If we can just make it to the time the baby gets here, things will be okay. Before I know it, you guys, it was the end of November when I thought about becoming a coach. And I had wished, there's a fine here. I had wished away an entire year, and it stopped me in my tracks. I will not live my life that way. I wanted to be a mom my entire life, and I enjoy them immensely. But to go back and think that I wished away a year of their lives, because I was not coping well enough, that is my why. That is the trigger for me that has made all of this happen, because it scared me. And, so You Are a Badass for me is probably a pivotal book because of where I was in my life. In terms of, I think, the business, for me, The Slight Edge by Jeffrey Olson has been huge. And if you've read The Compound Effect, or if somebody recommends The Compound Effect to me, they're almost the exact same book. It's a different take. Darren Hardy's voice and perspective is different than Jeffrey Olson's, but I just really love Jeffrey Olson's approach to it. And again, it talks about, momentum and consistency, and that we all have greatness, but once things start to go well, we taper off because we get happy, and then they start to go the other way. It's putting in that daily effort. So that really resonated with me, whether it's working on your relationships, whether it's working on coaching, whether it's working on being a better parent, whether it's working on developing a better, spiritual relationship with whoever you pray to, whatever it is. The Slight Edge to me those were the first two books I read. So I always go back to those.
It's so funny because those are the first two. We recommend Badass and Compound. It's like,
oh, yeah.
It's like that. It's perfect. And we're all like wine drinkers and we cuss a lot. So like You Are a Badass is like right up our alley.
Okay. Well, there you go. Those are two of my favorites. I really liked, what was that book called? Gosh, the Go-Giver.
Oh, yeah.
I really like The Go-Giver, which is funny because I like the energy bus, but I don't necessarily need rah, get on my bus, because I'm kind of that annoyingly happy, positive person. I like that book. And the other one that is like a parable. Go for No. I didn't love how either of those were kind of told as a story, but I really enjoyed The Go-Giver. And I think, again, because it's probably something that I wasn't even thinking about, that give, the more you give, the more you receive. I think I feel really stretched thin all of the time. It boggles my mind when when friends of mine will say, I'll take the kids for the afternoon so they can come to my house and play. And I think, God, I'm a really bad friend. I never offer to take anybody's kids, but I do have 4 kids. So I think listening to that book, opened my eyes to ways that I could work on a part of myself I wasn't working on. So The Go-Giver, I've really enjoyed. And I just finished listening to, I do a lot of listening. I probably forget the books, or beyond the books, I'm a big podcast person. So if you're not listening to The Shillian Show, I love it. She's slowed down some with Build Your Tribe, but it's in terms of business and thinking about your business strategically. That's been a really, really great podcast for me.
And podcasts are free.
They're free. And this is going to sound kind of crazy because I am not a super religious person. I go to church but I'm not crazy religious. I don't know why I feel like I have to preface this recommendation with that. But somebody recommended, what's the preacher?
Is it Joel Osteen?
Yes.
Yeah. His podcasts are amazing.
His podcasts are amazing. They are so fantastic. And not only just living your life in a better, happier, it ties in with everything that we're doing. And yeah, there's a little bit of God talk in it, but I think that his podcasts are awesome. I would totally recommend that. And then there's another guy that's a little bit different. His name's Seth Godin. He's more in the business world of things, but definitely a mover and shaker when it comes to pushing your limits and stepping outside your comfort zone and not settling. So those are my kind of go-to podcasts. Another one that did really well on my team, and I liked it a lot, but just to kind of to warn you, the 10X Factor. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that guy's intense.
I liked it. I can handle tough love and a kick in the butt. That's fine for me. I had a couple coaches that were oh my gosh, maybe I should just be average. I'm okay with that. I don't know that I want to be above average. And really honest to God, slowed down their business a little bit. It had a reverse effect. So if you start listening to the 10X Factor and you're maybe this isn't for me, just stop. But if you start listening, he says in one of the chapters, I wanted to call this chapter Stop Being a Little Bitch. And I love that because sometimes I want to say that to people, stop complaining about everything. So, if you need some tough love, the 10X Factor is amazing.
Cool. Oh, thank you. That's there are a lot of the same. I think it's funny because I think in this business the same books kind of surface themselves because they're just very poignant to what we do.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys have questions for Megan, or like the only other thing I wanted to ask you is like sometimes it's got to fall apart, right? Like it looks all like it's like I have 4 kids and I do this and I do this, but like we can put you on, like I'm sure all of us right now, like I'm doing it, I'm putting you on a pedestal, like, oh, she's perfect, she's just so organized. Like what happens when the bottom falls out and you're like, shit, I didn't do any of the things I was gonna do? Like how do you pick back up and not let that stop you?
I think it really, for me, goes back to that belief that if people have had so here's the thing, we had this big family, they're really close together in age. I don't want them to ever think, why did my parents have us all so close together if they couldn't handle this? So like they are my motivating factor. My husband works for a big company that we don't have a ton of control over when we are moved and where we're moved. And, we've been married 8 years and we are most likely heading to city number 5 by the end of the year. And that's really hard, right? So, and my husband does not have, he listens to some of these calls and people say, oh, and then I got to retire my husband. He loved his job. He loves his job. He doesn't want me to retire him. But I want to have some say in what happens in our life and that we don't have to only rely on his income or his bosses. My dad was a business owner and he's always taught me if you can find a way to work for yourself, it's totally worth it. And as an education major, I never saw that was possible. This has provided for me the opportunity to potentially create my own path and create opportunity for our family that I get to be in charge of. And sending 4 kids to Catholic school is not cheap. We are paying for my daughter's tuition this year and my boys' preschool solely off of Beachbody. We're taking them to Disney World in January solely off of Beachbody. So, and I grew up going on vacation regularly, not like to the fanciest place, but vacation and family time was important to my parents. My husband's family time was important, but they only went on vacation once every couple years. So we have this different perspective of where we've come into this marriage. And I just feel like, okay, well, I'm going to be the person that can pay for school and that can pay for vacations, and that they never say, we can't afford to go to Disney World. Why did you have all these kids? So I think that when the wheels come off, that is what, and then that goes back to when you know your why, you don't fight it. And it is not pretty. This looks nice right now. I have no makeup on. My hair is always in a ponytail. I have baby spit up on me. I probably look like a crazy person all of the time to anybody that's seeing my life that doesn't understand what we do as Beachbody coaches, right? But I have a lot of, belief in this process and in this business, and I'm laser focused on what my why is. So that's what gets me up and makes me do it. And I think it's important too, guys. It's beyond making money and going on trips to Disney and paying for Catholic school. It is beyond that. It is about if you've not been to a live event, if you've not been to Summit, if you've not been on a Success Club trip, I literally cry every time I'm in those atmospheres, because the energy and the lives that have been changed because of what we are doing is contagious, and it feels really, really good, and it's really happy, and it's really positive. And in this world that it's terrifying to be a mom of 4 young kids and you don't know what's going to happen any single day, you see nastiness and people not getting along, to be a part of this environment, hell yeah, like I am all in on it. I am all in. And whether that lasts I hope there's longevity here. I believe Carl and Jeff when they talk about that this is just the beginning and that we're going to grow. I believe that. But if this is short run and we're looking at another couple years and it's not, I'm glad to be a part while I got to be a part of it. That's kind of just how I approach it.
Well, and that's exactly what I was hoping you were going to say, because I think that there has to be an emotional connection to the wheels fall off, because they're gonna I feel like that happens to me daily, and I don't even have kids. Like I'm like, oh, this is, and then it's like, okay, well, who am I doing this for, me or other people? Right. And I think that it's important to remember that. Okay, so Lisa says, okay, so going back a bit, can you explain the difference between the add and the connect quadrants?
Yes.
Like how, like, because you said the ad, the connects come from the ad. So
yes. So ad is just legitimately adding to your network. So I don't know what the rule of thumb is. Friend requests. Growing your network by 2 to 5 people daily is what you should be shooting for. I'm now definitely playing in Instagram more than I am in Facebook. So I am adding, 2 to 5 friends on Facebook and adding 2 to 5 new follows on Instagram. Is a little different to like really add there. But on Facebook, I'm making sure, because I wasn't doing that and it hasn't hurt me yet. But I've seen coaches that coach for 8 or 10 months and then they had tapped out their warm markets and they had not added a single person over the 8 to 10 months that they've been coaching. And so they went from Success Club 10, month after month to 2 months of SC0, and it paralyzed them. So I make sure now that I'm adding to my network. That day is going to come eventually. And I organically am adding all the time. People are shooting me friend requests or referrals are being made or whatnot. But that ad keeps me accountable to make sure that I am reaching out to 2 to 5 new people each day. Now that connect box is really going to be what as a group we call Hey Girls, that relationship building portion. Because I think that sometimes Hey Girls and follow-ups all get intertwined, right? Like I'll have girls that are like, I have so many follow-ups, but when I talk to them, they're like, I had 25 follow-ups. Nobody's talking about anything Beachbody oriented. It's all, how's the baby? How's your hair extensions? Nobody's having a conversation that actually is moving you down the road of getting them to inviting. Okay. So to me, I call all of those Hey Girls relationship building conversations connect. Okay. That all goes there. And my follow-ups are people that I'm specifically following up with about a purchase, about a challenge pack, about a coaching opportunity. We have transitioned from the Hey Girl fun, frivolous conversation to specific business-oriented, business on our end conversations.
Megan, do you have this on like a PDF or is it like?
No, I do this every single day, just
maybe
over and over.
We're also visual. Like if we had like a list to follow, we love lists.
Yeah, no, I don't. This is all of this year, and I just go like one day after the next, and then that way, like.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that way if I haven't made my list, like on, with the Labor Day weekend, I didn't do anything on Monday, and on Tuesday I could quickly be like, okay, crap, who did I talk to on Saturday? And I could quickly be like, okay, I need to connect with these girls. I need to follow up with these people. I need to invite, did I miss anybody from an invite list? Another thing that I do, which might be pointless, but it helps me, at the beginning of each month, when I'm making my goals for the month, I try to still get a list of 100 names at the beginning of every month. And this is kind of like my, if I get stuck and if I feel like I don't have anybody to invite all of a sudden, because sometimes you send out 10 connection messages and one person messages you back and they're like, by the way, I'm a Beachbody coach or whatever, it just deadpans and it doesn't go anywhere. When I have this list to draw back on, some months, like last month, I literally crossed off, I had to use 6 names off of it. The rest of the conversations were generated from my daily 4s. But the couple times that I got stuck, I could go back and pull names from this list and throw them into I would throw them into an invite box, or I would throw them into a connect box. Like, hey, it's been 6 months since I talked to Katie Meeker. I'm going to say hey. So I can plant those where I need them.
That's a great idea. As you're setting up your goals for the month, that last day of the month or whatever,
yeah.
Set up your goals and then make that list of, because when you have, the worst is when you're like, I want to invite, who do I invite? I did that today.
Right.
And I pulled from the people that were on Facebook Messenger, and it was just crappy. It was that's not intentional. That's not so if you have a list to work off of, and it takes 10 minutes, but it's when you're in the middle of it, it seems like it's hard to find people.
It is. One area that I have not been super successful, and I wish I were, and if you are better in this space, it's going to help you. I think if you can get yourself into using an electronic business activity tracker or tracking system, Excel or whatever it might be. I do it probably 3 days a month. I'm like, okay, I'm on it this month. I'm going to use Excel. I'm going to track. And then like the next month comes around and I look up and I did it for 2 or 3 days and then I fell off. But on those days, I always think, why don't I do this all of the time? It saves so much freaking time. I struggle there. So it's a work in progress. It's something I hope to get eventually. For the time being, I keep being pen to paper.
It's I always come back to paper. Like I kind of do my follow-ups on Asana because I just like keeping track and I like the dates. But other than that, it's like there's something about writing someone's name down and saying, did they respond? Or whatever. So does anyone else have, I want to let Megan go because it's late for her time, but does anyone else have a burning question you want to ask her about time management or vision or mindset or anything? This was really helpful. I think we should go through and make and we'll share it with your team because we're like very visual people, but I think it'd be cool to make a quadrants like PDF that you could either print and the thing is like what I love about what you do is it doesn't have to be so dictated. Like for you, it's like 5 minutes, 10. It could be different. Or like if you have 3 hours and you want to invite 20 people, fine. But I love that it's pretty condensed because most of us don't have like everyone, like you have a full-time job. When I started, I had 3 jobs. Like it's not like we're just sitting around doing Beachbody.
Right.
Like, that's not.
And I think power hour is intimidating for people sometimes. And I can't ever understand why. Is it because it's the concept of a solid hour? Is it because you don't know how to delegate that time? Is it because the older versions of what we're supposed to do with the power hour sometimes don't fit what you need to do? And this for me has been like very livable. And Sydney Maurer is my corporate rep. That's who suggested this for me. And one other thing I didn't say in there is, so per her recommendations, if you are an Emerald coach, or shooting for Emerald, like you're actively pushing for Emerald, you should be trying to have 5 names in each of those quadrants. Like that should be your goal. If you are shooting for Diamond, you should have 8 to 10 names, and that should be your goal. And if you're a brand new coach, you should shoot to have 2 names in each of those quadrants, and that should be your goal. So that's super helpful, guys, if you're bringing on new coaches. I have found a lot more success with them sharing the daily 4s and saying, okay, for this first week, I want you to work on having 1 to 2 names in each of these boxes. Like that's measurable for them. It doesn't feel scary. It's something that they can do versus here's a power hour, go after it, And so we kind of start with the daily 4s and then like slowly like build out that hour as they need to. But if a new coach can do daily 4s for 2 weeks and do, 2 people per square, it's getting people started really well.
Amen. Because that you're right. For a new coach to go, oh, here's the business activity tracker. They're like, I don't even know how to invite, let alone how to like what are you doing on that paper? So I think it takes out some of the fuss of like, yes, you want to be checking your back office for news, and yes, you want to be checking your downline. But most people, that's not relevant to. Like it says like, oh, pull up new coaches. That's not relevant for an Emerald or even a Diamond coach. You're not running a team. So this just really narrows it down to like, what do you have to do?
Yeah.
And it's like the proof is in the pudding. You do it or you don't, but like, it's simple.
And sometimes I'll have them, like if they have goals of like, they want to hit success starters and earn that ticket to Summit, and they want to be Emerald in X amount of time, fairly soon. And we're kind of transitioning that their first goal is not Emerald. Their first goal is business starter. So if they have those types of goals, I have them screenshot them to me biweekly. So they can take a picture at the end of every day. And you know what? Some people don't do it, and they know it, and I know it, and I could care less. I am not a slave driver. I'm never going to put pressure on anybody in the world. You want this or you don't want this. But for a lot of people, they're like, okay, do you want me to send it to you every day or at the end of the week? I don't care. Whatever works best for you. It's a really easy way to give them some guidance and accountability without putting pressure on them. So that's been a really great way to get our coaches started. We've been implementing this probably since June, I would say. And I'm feeling from a leadership standpoint, like I am really giving them something that's usable and workable instead of totally freaking them out and then being like, what the hell did I just sign up for?
Right. And as a leader, I feel like that so often because we're like, here, and then it's like, like we know what we're doing because we've done it long enough, but something like breaks it down to like step 1.
Right.
This thing. Step 2, this thing. So that's huge.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll let you go because I know it's very late. Yeah. Megan, thank you so much.
Guys.
so much value to us, and I can't wait to share this with everyone. I don't know why they're not all here, but the people that were on got a ton, just a really some like it wasn't just like it was feel good because your story is so powerful, but then some like actual things that we can take and implement like tomorrow or maybe tonight if you haven't done your power hour yet. So
well, good. I hope so.
Yeah, thank you so much, and
Yeah,
congratulations.
you guys have a great night.
You are going to be an elite coach this year, girl. You are. Your
I'll
team.
come back on and talk to you about it.
You gotta rock it. Cool. Okay.
Hey, guys.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for jumping on.